continue.
Okay, I'll finish answering. Please start answering. It's great to see you, though. I haven't seen you since the film just about. Wow. Yeah. And you froze me. You tore that jacket.
Yeah.
So I wish there was a
Walt Disney can do it. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, you know. But the problem is, Chu never got his revenge on these white guys.
So he's making number something. So it was not too late. He's making another one, but it's a very strange movie. This is I don't know. It's just a rumor.
No, they're shooting, I understand, or starting. I want to know if anybody in the early cast, our cast, is in it. I don't know, but they're starting not.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Anybody here in Blade Runner? I don't know why we're not in the sequel, you know. Just because I was dead.
That doesn't mean anything.
Not inside.
Right, I can return to life, you know. In fact, I was frozen, so you can be a replicant.
Yeah, you were just frozen.
I make a replicant. You're going to be a replicant if you don't watch out.
Can't you afford 3 microphones? What's the matter? Low budget. Tell that. Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, for my show, we'll have 3 microphones. Well, you know, some of these Caucasian engineers, you can't trust them. They promise you something and they don't deliver.
We're running out of batteries, though.
Yeah, but this thing is not on battery.
No, but the Caucasians are.
Just because it's true.
By now you realize that we are all mad. You realize that.
Yeah, well, I guess I better just answer.
We're getting paid for it, though. We're getting paid for being mad. That's exactly right. But maybe we should take some questions.
Mr. Hong has to answer his question.
What was the question?
How did you get involved with Blade Runner? What was your original reaction to the concept?
Oh, I thought it was about your mother.
How did I get involved? And, you know, some films you remember how you got involved in the very beginning. And I'm sure you have great stories in that regard. But as far as I remember, I don't recall exactly how I was cast. You know, but I was cast, and one of the things I do remember is that I didn't know that, you know, I've never met him, Ridley, at that time, and so I show up for wardrobe costumes, and they said, okay, your character is Chu, and Ridley's right there, and they throw this heavy, stiff cowhide on me, you know, really stiff, like, you know how raw cowhide is as far as
The inside. The inside?
Why are you asking such questions? The inside or outside of a cow? And it was so stiff I couldn't move. And I said, really, is this really, you know, how am I going to move? He didn't say a thing, right? Most of the time he doesn't say too much. And and then, this shows you his genius, all right? I didn't know, most of the times when they put on a costume, like in Big Trouble in Little China, I know what is going on because it's that regal look and the gold and everything. But with Ridley, you don't know what's going on. But when the time comes, you step on the set and you try that costume on, which you saw Chu wear, you know, with the pipes in the back. All of a sudden, you realize you're working with a genius. And that really was. He's that kind of man. He seems to keep everything, for me, I don't know about your experience, but he keeps everything to himself. And then I think he develops and lets it cook in his dreams and nightmare. And so I learned from him always that as an actor, you should never be satisfied with just what you see and what you do. Because from Ridley, you know that he's examining every corner of his mind, every molecule, and that's how he came out with Blade Runner, as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking too much, so I'll just pass.
Mr. Hauer, it's been written, and I'm not sure that this is true, but I wanted to ask you, it's been written that you were the first and only choice for the role of Roy, that minds were made up that you were going to play this character. So with that in mind, whether that's true or not, how did you get involved with this particular picture?
You know, it is called. I didn't do a screen test, and I know he did quite a few screen tests with other actors, and so you didn't do one either. But for the replicants, he did the screen tests that were amazing because he dressed people, he lit them, he had camera people. It was like they were on a movie set, and so. And I think, you know, as an actor, that's part of you wish for, because directors who are casting people don't know what they're missing. If you give an actor all kinds of tools to play with and an atmosphere and some serious moments before he gets the role, at least he gets a chance. And as a director, you get a chance to see what you might get, and you see it better. It's really, that is so cool. From Ridley. I guess they were sure about me. I did get a call. I had the part already. If I wanted it, I was invited for lunch with Ridley, and we talked for 3 hours about all kinds of things. And basically, what we share is our minds are pretty wicked. You know, our minds, they bleed together, and they're pretty wicked. That's all I can say. And wicked meaning wicked dark, wicked light, whatever color of wicked you want. We share that. And I was very proud of the end that he really allowed me, because he didn't really know what he was going to get from me, but that he allowed me to give half of my being to the character. That doesn't happen a lot to an actor. And, you know, I'm not so horny on my own stuff. Half of it is good. If more you can't get, then it becomes an ego trip. So half of Roy's mind is mine, and half of the interpretation is mine and not the script. And half of the whole story of Blade Runner and Roy's character is mine. The whole dance is mine. There are a lot of things that are mine. It doesn't really matter. You know, who cares? As long as it really hits, it's fine. It was my, I'll wrap it up quick. It was my first real dance in an international movie where I could just fly. Because, yeah, submarine movie. You want to change the subject? Okay, I'll be right there. No, for an actor, you know, your trust comes from an audience, and that is like the last 50 years. We get some really great feedback from our audience. Before that, we wouldn't see our audiences at all. So the internet has served a great purpose, and but the trust in your gut, that's the one thing you need, nothing else. The rest is all bullshit. You need to know that you're reaching people the right way. And I learned that pretty quick in my career. With Blade Runner, this was my first time out, or yeah, Nighthawks, but that was so bad. And so this was the second movie. It doesn't matter, guys. Sometimes it's a bad experience, but the movie turns out fine. But this was mine in many ways, and there is no experience that travels 30 years from then to now. I don't think there was any actor who's ever had this feeling, and as you noticed, there are no fucking words to explain it.
What questions do you have? Raise your hand. Yes, sir. Right there.
You guys were in one of the great practical effects masterpieces. How do you contrast that with what's going on right now with CGI? I know Harrison Ford famously complained about standing around reacting to Ridley Scott sets, and I bet he feels pretty bad about that now because you don't get sets anymore. How do you guys feel about that?
Take it. What I see today is special effects. This is the era of special effects. And it lacks the humanity that we did our picture. Although we had great special effects, there was a great deal of humanity going on even before that. When I looked in before both of these guys. I'm old. I'm so old I was the waiter at the Last Supper. Anyhow, the pictures, the great movies, Treasure of Sierra Madre, Wizard of Oz, great film. Today, it's all special effects, and they don't touch on the humanity of human beings. And that's what I object to most. Movies of today.
It does feel a little bit like The Last Supper, the way we're sitting here. There's a screen behind us. Yeah, you know, the thing is, Blade Runner, okay, it doesn't compare to anything. I'm sorry, but that's Blade Runner. It doesn't really compare, and Blade Runner 1, 2, 3 doesn't exist. It's not going to happen, guys. Yeah, times change, absolutely. And the biggest part of what we do is that it's become so complex and so expensive that nobody wants to finance any movies anymore. At the same time, you all have cameras. You can all make movies. Not right now. If you have a story, you can start making movies right now. And that's where we're going to go. We're going to go there, because if it's too expensive to make a movie and it's not getting made, then we're going to work for you guys. No problem.
To answer the question, maybe, is that, and I'm sure, you know, all of you are affected by the special effects. Because why? To me, Ridley was the inventor of a lot of those effects. And after Ridley did it, then other people would follow and copy different things he did. Like that Japanese sign that kept flashing on and off, that neon sign and government. To me, those shots have some kind of feeling. You don't know what it is, but you feel it. As an audience, you and I feel that feeling that he has as he bangs around the sky. You know, it's not just something for effects, special effects. It's something very soulful about the things he does. And every time I see that film, I say, oh, here it comes, you know, when the snake lady, the serpent lady, runs and runs and runs and crashes through that glass, and I think he does it twice or 3 times, but to me, that has something, you feel for the woman who is dying.
Yeah, you feel the glass.
And so, to me, that like you say, it's not just special effects, it's something to do with the soul, you know. And as far as the view and the refrigerator, I do have a question, you know.
I still have pubic hair, or after that I'll spend pubic hair.
How does that happen? Just because we're looking at this girl down here, pubic hair. Oh my God. But anyway, that's the scene that I had. But anyway, the scene I had with you, I remember. Oh, right. The history of that scene was one of the last scenes to be shot, right? You remember that? We were in that food locker down in East LA. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was a real.
The camera froze.
Yeah. The what?
We froze too, but the camera froze first.
Right. And the lights were freezing. And we only had, I think, 2 days to shoot that one, maybe 1 day. And so we were being hurried. You know, I hate that when you're being hurried by the director, producer, and everybody's getting nervous. So if you're an actor, don't ever get into the last day of shooting, you know. But that's what was happening. So we have to improvise a lot of things, you know, fooling with those eyeballs. And the story's really too long, but I just wanted to.
You were in there a lot longer than we were, because you could move. fire and the angels fell. I had no idea what the hell I was talking about.
Your eyes.
Yeah.
I designed your eyes. You Nexus?
They're going home with each other.
This is radio. This is radio. No, I'm not going to go to it. Can I say something? Or you want to? Yeah, but I can't do that funny accent anymore.
Yes, you can.
No acting here. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
No. I feel.
Yeah, right. But my question was this. Ridley, as I remember, because we were hurrying so much, he says, and you don't have to answer because it's a very personal question. He says, can you pick up the pace? And he didn't say it like that. He said, can you pick up the pace, all right, and so forth. But you didn't feel like picking up the pace, did you? No.
The bass in that screen, I was amazed about the bass myself because my training comes from Paul Verhoeven. I did 5 films with him, and he always said, "Can you pick up the bass?" You know. And so my training was, don't slow anything down. And Ridley kept saying, "It's slower," to me, and it was scary. Okay. Where can we find this Sebastian?
I don't know if we've answered any questions, but it was fun. That scene was fun. I kind of picked up the pace, but I thought he said hurry up, but I must have been nervous.
Well, maybe he said hurry up for you. I think that's it. I don't know.
You notice Mr. Wong suffered from shyness.
Tom!
I said Wong.
Yeah. I thought you said Wong.
That's typical, right?
The Chinese do not all look alike.
You must give up that microphone.
Question over here.
Mr. Hauer, I heard that the monologue that you give at the end of Blade Runner was improvised on the set. I've read that, and I'm not sure if that's true. If it is, I'm just curious, with the background that you did on your character, like, on the set, just where did that come from that day?
That was the last day of shooting, and we had a writer's strike already. We couldn't rewrite things. We had an actor's strike. The last day of shooting was right up to the actor's strike from our union, which basically meant if the actor's strike would go on, we could not work anymore. Okay, not that we had to stop work. So it was very, very tense. And people were very tired after 4 months, and then I had to do this, and I want to advise you to go to, this is a website that I'm in, Film Factory Shorts and YouTube. I do Blade Runner talks there, and I talk from the heart and from my mind, rather than in front of all of you. But I'll tell you, I basically wrote the silence. I cut about 300 words from a monologue that was there that was way too long. It didn't make any sense. It was high-tech speak. And if you have to tell a story just before you die, it sucks. I think I've seen operas and I can't stand it. And in this case, if the batteries are low, you're not going to be able to speak everything you want to say. And in life, I really believe it's not true that you have said everything you wanted to. You just don't get the time. I think that's another human factor that I built into the character. So when he starts saying something, he's dying, or his batteries are going. So I felt I had to make it short, so I cut out all the words, and basically I came up with one line, all those moments where we lost the time, like Tears of Rain, and the other two were just preparation for that kind of capture the beauty and the attachment to Roy, what you've seen. He's such a strange, full being. And he's about life, and he's about not giving. He's not about revenge. That's bullshit. So, yeah, so that's sort of, improvise. I can't improvise. I have to think about it, and I have to torture myself to come up with the right line. And I have to do it before I get to the set, or last minute on the set, which I tend to do. And you don't do that on a picture this size, you don't. And I didn't know if Ricky was going to like the idea of cutting all that bullshit. And he said, you know, and I hoped it was okay, but if he had said, no, I would like you to do the other monologue, I would have been so.
Let me just add one little thing to what James said about this being the original, flavor of the original. Respectfully, Jamie, respectfully, Stanley Kubrick, 2001. That
All right, you're asking excellent questions. We'll get to more of those, but let me ask Mr. Turkel here. He mentioned Stanley Kubrick and that he did 3 films, which was unprecedented except for one British actor who's no longer with us. The Killing, Paths of Glory, and The Shining. What do you think Stanley Kubrick saw in you? And also, how did Stanley Kubrick of The Killing compare to the Stanley Kubrick of much later in The Shining?
Nobody in this room has enough time. I can talk about Stanley. I was with Stanley from the beginning. I'm not going to be too much on this microphone. He happened to see me in a film called Man Crazy, a picture that was made for $24. A terrible picture. He happened to like me. He was a young filmmaker in New York. He came out to California, called me. I said, thank you, Mr. Kubrick. And he had one thing he said all the time. Please, call me Stanley. If anybody ever called him Mr. Kubrick, call me Stanley. But if you called him Stan, again, please call me Stan. I said, okay. So I made the film. It was very nice. Young company, nobody ever heard of him. I came to hug him. Thank you very much, you know, and he backed away. He was never close, never touched, but he was strictly business. And he, according to Francis Ford Coppola, in fact, this is a truism. I may get in trouble now.
Truism?
Truth.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Ridley Scott came over to me twice and says, Joe, how do you think Stanley would approach the scene? That's how much respect he had for Kubrick. I said, Ridley, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. Everything is fine. But that's how much respect all of the directors had for Stanley Kubrick. What else did you ask?
Good show.
You saw the one picture that I saw. I did The Killing, then I did Paths of Glory, and then I did The Shining. And during the course of all that time, he had changed. He became bald. He was more work. He worked himself to death. In Japanese, they call that, I forgot the word. He worked himself, no, close. He worked himself to death. And at the end of his life, in the last moment, he was in bed with his wife. He was reading, she was reading. He was only in bed with his wife to read, and you know what? He was a very sexy man. He wasn't feeling good. He says, honey, I don't feel too well. He reached over to the night table for some pills, and he was gone. He went to the floor, and he was dead prior to hitting the floor. And I'll end it with Stanley's grave. It is the most unique thing anybody has ever seen. He's buried in his backyard, in a grave. And there's a huge marble slab in the shape of an head. Oval. Huge, smooth marble slab that must weigh 80 tons or something. On it says, Stanley Kubrick. And the inscription, here lies our love Stanley. Born in New York, March 26, 1928. Died here at home. I'm sorry. Born July, I said July. Did I say July? Born July 26, 1928. Died here at home March 7th, 1999. A huge stone. I never saw that before. And that was, to me, he was the finest director. Not great. Great is a man who makes a custom-tailored suit. Fine is a man who stitches every stitch of that suit. The finest, with the wool of the belly of the lamb. The best. And Stanley Kubrick.
Pause here a minute.
Any questions over here? Then you are elected, sir.
Yeah, okay, 1 second, Before you do that, Are you fixing your hair or your hat?
My hat.
This is my cameraman, Thorin, and he's filming this partially for my life documentary, but he's standing on the side. So could you come over here and stand so we can get a frontal picture of him? And you're getting the bad side of me. That's
We're not getting paid for this.
Oh, no, no. You do have to sign the release.
I do.
And I don't want your autograph. I just want you to sign.
Okay, question.
Yes, my question is for Mr. Hong. What is, in your mind, your favorite type of role to play? Dramatic like in Blade Runner, or comedic like in Balls of Fury, or even voiceover work like in Kung Fu Panda?
It's a question, yeah, it's a question I don't have an answer for you. I really don't. Was it a question for me? Well, you know, to me, the favorite role is Miss Piggy, and I know they won't give it to me. So, but I'm an actor, and you know, I get these roles, and I treat it literally like I'm sketching. I'm not making it complete. I'll fill it with as much as I can, but it's really sketching. And where you come in is you fill it in for me. You know, my performance, and that's why I think my performances, I don't own them. The performance we own, you and me. And you may see a different movie, and I love that about Blade Runner because it allows you to see so many different movies. But you know, any good movie has that openness where you are my reward and you are my success. This is not about money. It's about the connection that I have with you. And my youngest fan is 9, and she just turned 10, and she just won the message, answering message machine. I've got it ready for you. Okay? But so, you know, it's the connection with the audience that counts most for me, and not so much the character. I'll do the best I can with it. That's it.
Very true. Did you direct that question to him or to me? Or
To you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, he needs some water.
You have the same answer.
Give him some whiskey, maybe he'll do better. But anyway, I have to reinforce what you said. It's strange. I learned from.
I want to add something.
I learned.
Add water. No, just before you start, I'll be short. There is, you know, there's so many things about Blade Runner that are like, you know, anything short of a miracle. And one of the miracles is that this movie, when it came out, was people were detesting, you know, the movie, and it's great that you can live long enough to see that time sometimes things just shift, and then suddenly everybody goes, no, we get it. And then, just when it was 25 years old, they wanted to release the movie really big and make much money, but they still did the same. I don't know if you know, they made the same mistake that they did the first time. They waited too long to make deals with the theaters that were going to show the movie. So by the time they said, we're going to go big, you know, all the theaters said, sorry, we're busy. You waited too long. And I like it.
That wasn't very short. Back to the real question. And like I said, well, how do you treat a role, I think, with something in that regard? It's strange. When I first started, I kept looking at the big stars like John Wayne and all those people, what they did, you know, and I even did one with Frank Sinatra. But they always keep steady. They never waver very much. If you notice how steady they were playing their roles, all those great actors. And like, I learned something from Burt Lancaster.
Do shit. They know how to not do shit.
Whatever that means. People like Burt Lancaster. He knew how to, well, here's how it happened. Go tell the Spartans, some very small budget picture. But after the shot, he was going to the director, which was a relatively low-budget film, so he would tell the director what was going on, what was wrong, because he's for Lancaster, right? But I know I was trying to listen in, and he knew everything that was going on. He knew where the camera was pointing and where it's going to pan next, or what the other person was doing. And as somebody else said, he knew how to play the house, right? How to not only play to your character in the camera, but in films you have to know everything about what's going around, right? And that's the lesson we all learn as actors as we go on. And certainly in Big Trouble in Little China, I practice that. As Lo Pan, you notice he's aware of everything that's going on around the room, around the little girls. So I did have to add him and tickle the Kim Cattrall, how wonderful she was. You know, and say, ka-chee, you know. But, you know, those are ad-libs and impromptus. And in Blade Runner, we did some impromptu things because why? Like I said, they were hurrying to finish. So the villain put the little eyeballs on my shoulder. And the script says he was walking, tromping over them. But we didn't have time to do all those special effects of walking over eyeballs. Great in the script. So he just simply put them on my shoulder.
Much better.
And it turned out to be very good, you know.
Thank God.
Another question? But don't ask it. Yeah, ask later. Anyway, that's the gist. We could sit here for hours and just talk about it.
We have a question on this side.
So we'll end that question.
Yes.
I told you James was very shy.
A comment, that's a question also. My favorite scene in Blade Runner is when Roy confronts Tyrell. You don't often get to confront your creator, and maybe air some grievances. And I thought it was very, very profound, and I'm just wondering how or if you prepared for that.
How was what?
How or if you prepared for that.
Were you scared? Were you scared for that? The first day of shooting. First day, yeah. First day of shooting, and we would spend, I think, about 6 days of shooting on that scene. Meeting the god of bio again, right? Mr. Turkel. And yeah, and then say, okay, Dad, enough. So it was my first experience with a production of this size, and yeah, and Joe, I would love to hear you talk about this, because I'll say one thing. There was a $25,000 head that was built basically after I killed my so-called father. He drops to the floor and his head bursts open, and we see all kinds of wiring coming out, and then it goes into a restart and remote and comes back to life. And then I go to Sebastian and say, take me to the real maker. Don't shoot me. Right? So, and that was sort of in the script then, but there was a discussion going on, and that was not maybe going to be shot. This happened in the first few days. And my heart was bleeding because I thought it was so nice, because the scene would lead up to one more floor in the pyramid, and in a block of ice, frozen, his father, okay, the real guy. We never shot that, and it went out of the window, so I had to kill Sebastian, which I really didn't think I should. He's, so what I was going to say is that they had pay the rights. The head was not working. They weren't able to make it work, so I said to Ridley, can I not just do it? I'll just put my thumbs in his eyes, we'll get some blood going, and then give me a close-up so I can do something which I really would like to do. I don't know if it's going to be okay, but I would like to give it a shot, and then you can cut between the two, and then you save the awkwardness between how to kill real. And that's basically where I got a chance to show, like, 9 collars while he's killing his men, which really helps for the character, I think. Otherwise it would just be, So, and Ridley basically said to all the actors in the beginning, he said,
I'm sorry he's busy.
basically said, Ridley said, I did Alien, I'm a so-called technical director, this is an actor's movie, we don't have a lot of action, I want you to give me anything you can give me that will help. So he was really saying this to all of us. And he made a change there, and it was nice.
Sorry. Listen, I'm going to take a little time now. Jimmy, seriously. Rutger, seriously. Hold it, seriously. Here we are, 3 actors. We're famous, not famous. Rutger is the most famous. And we've all had successes, we've had failures, and we may be looked upon as something to, gee, an actor, they got money, they got fame, they got nightclubs, women. That's not true. I want to tell you a true story about a man's failure, which was me. And it came on Blade Runner. And I'm going to take about 2 minutes to tell you the story, which is true. And in this day and age, truth is difficult to come by. We have a criminal government, untruthful. Every government in the damn world is untruthful. I'm going to be truthful and reveal something that was important to me. And it moved me in my life. My mother and father came to visit me when I made the film, and my daddy was showing signs of going down. Walk out, he would circle the block, and I went out to get him. I had to change my father's diaper. He never had a diaper, I had it, and it killed me. And I was rehearsing at the same time. And I had 900 pages of dialogue, on and on and on and on. We got to the set, and I was concerned about my parents. I could have taken a hotel room, but I'm not going to leave my parents alone. It was the winter time, or getting to be winter. I got on the set, and I wasn't totally prepared, as I have been all my life, and I messed up on dialogue. I had difficulty with dialogue. I felt terrible. Ricky, can you please put something up on the cues? I've never read cues before. I was on Broadway, I've done plays. I felt terrible. So I want you to know, in this glamorous world of ours, we got through the show, we got through the picture, and we got through it, and I felt bad that I didn't give my best. In Blade Runner, I was pretty good. I could have been damn good. I could have been better than that. What I didn't prepare was my parents, and I loved them dearly, my father. And he was showing signs of decay. And I think of him now, and I put on his grave when he died, "Here rests Benjamin Turkel, an heroic, gentle working man. Thus passes the glory of the world." And I miss him to this day. And I couldn't abandon him, so I had to, they were in my apartment. And we did the picture, and I had to ask for dialogue help. And in his book, I was reviled for it. I was being put down by people close to Ridley. He was worthless. No human being is worthless. They said that about me. Yes. The girl said, okay. And they said other things. Mr. Ridley Scott wrote this book. And then he was honest. He said I had difficulty with dialogue. I said, Ridley, Rutger Hauer. Oh. I'm emotional now. Rutger wrote the book. Joe had difficulty with the dialogue, but he was having some difficulty with his father, and he had a ton of dialogue. He was honest in his book. So I want you to know that all of us don't live these glorious lives. We make big mistakes, and we pay for our mistakes. And but we struggle through. All of you are struggling now, the difficult times we live in. Keep going. Remember our failures, and you'll handle your own much, much better. That's all I want to say.
There are very few. I've done 450 films and TV, and definitely Blade Runner is on the top, along with the Big Trouble in Little China, of course. But Thorne, would you turn the camera on the audience? I want to get a shot of everybody, if you don't mind. But you don't have to sign a release. Just say, yes, I give you permission. Just say, yes. Keep on the audience. It's not enough for me. But we're about to wrap it up. So in a way, that gentleman has a question, and he may have to stay after we leave.
Mr. Hauer, while you have the microphone, would you comment on another iconic role of yours that I know everyone's curious about, your participation, your work with Roman Polanski and Jack Nicholson in Chinatown?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a great luxury and a great experience, and I'll make it short. To show you how I had to bear the bad times and the good times, in a way the low budgets and the high budgets. I was cast into Chinatown already, and so I was doing the low budget TV series called the remake of Perry Mason the second time around. I was in the first one too with Raymond Burger. The second time we had something. Yeah, he asked how old I am. I'm 83, but Joe is what?
84, then I'll be 85 this July.
All right.
No hair dye. My mother was 98 when she passed on and moved forward. She had brown hair. That's it. Genetics.
So anyway, what's the question?
Chinatown.
Oh yeah, Chinatown. Okay. So I was doing the last scenes in Perry Mason, and they said, hurry up, you know. And so one take I did my scene, I rushed over to Chinatown, the set, and there was Jack Nicholson, and in that little house where Jack was trying to push it his way in and saw Faye Dunaway, right? And he slapped her and all that stuff. So it was just in the beginning of that so-called scene, and they did, I don't know, after about 20 takes of Jack Nicholson getting out of his car and coming up to that little house, you know, that little old house. And I said, my gosh, is this the difference between a big production and a little production where I just did one take, and here's Jack taking, you know, 20 takes to come up the driveway. So in a sense, the big budget productions can afford a lot of takes, except at the end of the schedule, you know. But Polanski and The Godfather we were filming at about the same time, and they both were taking like 20, 25 takes, you know. So it's perfection in that sense in the drama. You just have to do everything correctly. The directors try everything, and then they pick the best things that they film. So, you know, that was my experience with Chinatown, because Roman, again, taught me things that I never learned before, and it reinstated what really did, in a sense. You notice Roman Polanski always had something weird about his scenes, you know. And how is he different from the other directors I've worked with? I would again say there's something crazy about Roman. There's something about him that we don't really understand. And he somehow is able, as an artist, to pick that from his soul and brain and put it onto film, you know. I think his first film was Knife in the Water or something. And he showed his genius at that time and how troubled he was. And he carried that on through the rest of his films. And unfortunately, in his real life, he was kicked out of the country, right? So that's about it. Chinatown was a great film, another classic. So between Blade Runner, Chinatown, Big Trouble, and a few others, I've had a wonderful career. And thanks to you, people.
Left. I'd like to give each of these gentlemen an opportunity for some closing remarks and to tell us what they're up to these days. And specifically, Mr. Hauer, I'd like to ask you about a recent phenomenon you have appeared in called Hobo with a Shotgun.
What's the last word?
I have been in this business since 1948. I've enjoyed the ups and downs, marriage, children, divorce, broke, wealthy, done it all. And the only thing that I'll take with me is the pleasure that I see in the faces of you people. The pleasure that we've given you. You can't fucking beat it!
He's running for the President of the United States. That's all we have to say, isn't it? We're going to wrap this up and go back to our Chamonix.
Yeah, I'll say something about Hobo.
How's lawn business?
How long?
Mowing business. Yard work. How's it going?
Yeah, it was, you know, you know, but you think, like, it's we've seen so many things, you know, not just Blade Runner, and we've seen all those things that are changing, and like when you say, you know, work, you know, Chinatown, and I've seen a few sets, and, you know, in Kenya, and the setups, which basically is where everybody prepares to do what they're going to do, would take, for each shot, it would take at least an hour. You could bet that it would take at least an hour. Blade Runner, sometimes it would take a day for one shot, and thank God for him, because that was Ridley. He, you know, it's his favorite film, by the way. It's his art film. It's his art film. He's very proud of it. And so, from the moment where we were taking days, or, you know, hours, we've gone to 20 seconds. Two, with all the cameras that can photograph at any time, and if you have a DOP who knows what he's doing, he's ready pretty much now. And we have to go. And thank God for the training that we got. But it's different for actors and it's different for filmmakers now because the budget is so small. Anyway, Hobo was one of those films where they found some money for a little movie with a lot of love, and everybody just jumped in and made it into what it is, and I think it shows. But I think that's the way a lot of us have to make movies now if we want to do what we love to do. Times have changed, it's just that way. And some of this is art. And you know, some of this is art.
Mr. Hauer is relatively hesitant to say this. He's written the book, and it's a marvelous book. And the comment that I made before about being the dialogue and all of that, the book is called Rutger Hauer, All Those Moments. And if you like Mr. Hauer, who doesn't, get the book, you might enjoy it.
Will you do one more thing?
Well, of course.
One more.
And then one.
So as I'm saying, I love Charlotte, and I'm going to be here back and forth. I'm here hoping to plan to make the sequel to Big Trouble to be called Big Trouble in Little Charlotte. Because if the Big Trouble's here, it'll be a 12-hour film.
God bless all of you, and thank you for coming.
Mentioned that when Blade Runner came out, a lot of people didn't like it, and a lot of people didn't understand it. But here we are 30 years later, and we have American Film Institute's top 10 science fiction films of all time, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, Time Magazine's all-time 100 best movies, Entertainment Weekly's top 50 cult movies, Village Voice 100 best films of the 20th century. Thank you to you gentlemen for your contribution.
Go ahead.